Coming to a, well, indoor traditional meat market in Ulaanbaatar because we want to get some horse, some camel, and some yak. Going out to the countryside, see how they cook it there. This is some beautiful meat and this place smells great. All of this came straight from nomad families. It's all pasture raised, all grass fed, and all organic, untouched by hormones or steroids or anything like that. When you're in Mongolia, there's three meats you gotta eat. You gotta eat yak, you gotta eat camel, and you gotta eat horse. Right here is the horse meat. Take a look at that, how yellow that fat is. Horse meat that I had, at least in Xinjiang, is absolutely the finest meat and the finest fat that I've ever eaten. Maybe not the finest meat, but the finest fat I've ever eaten. And if you're wondering, how do you know it's horse? Just look at the photo right there. There's your horse. That'll confirm it. Wow, we've got 800 grams, 875 grams, almost 2 pounds of horse meat, and it's 9,600, which is approximately $3 US at today's exchange rate. Why is that so cheap? Well, likely they got a big supply of horses, which is going to make sense because remember, during the tea horse trade time, they would trade tea for horses because in Mongolia they had a lot of horses. So horse should be cheap, all right? And it is, it's super crazy cheap. 2 pounds for about $3, that's around $1.50 a pound. Wow. So this is yak, and you'll notice that the color of the yak is very deep red, which would indicate that there's a lot more oxygen being used in these muscles because there should probably be more myoglobin in there to hold on to the oxygen, giving it the deeper red color as opposed to, for instance, beef. We got the leg part. I'm not sure about that. She said that that was more tender. Certainly not with beef. This is about 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds maybe of yak, and the price was $6.50. It's pretty cheap. Actually, that's super crazy cheap. What am I talking about? That's insano cheap. So this is the butchered sheep, and you'll notice the tail has got a big bunch of fat right there. That's in China called fat-tailed sheep, and here is the fat itself. I tasted some of this a couple of days ago. It's really light in flavor and it's kind of creamy, not much connective tissue, but I was surprised at how light it was. And if you're ever wondering again what kind of meat that is, well, there you go. That's for sure sheep. So here's the vegetable market, and they've got quite a selection, surprisingly. I'm guessing a lot of these are maybe imported or grown in local farms. Yeah, some pretty good looking produce here. These are the prices for the locally Mongolian grown vegetables per kg. So just as an example, this one, these turnips, would be approximately, that's a little bit over $1 per kg, so it's about 50 cents a pound for those. That's a great deal. For the onions, you're looking at around 60 cents for a pound on the onions. Also a fantastic deal, especially considering it's all local grown produce. And nice looking stuff. Still's got the dirt on it. That's great. So in the countryside, yeah, you got a four-wheel drive, you just go wherever. Mongolia countryside is stunningly beautiful. Look at those mountains and a few trees scattered around. A little bit of a river and rolling hills everywhere you look. Perfect for grazing, for cattle, and for livestock. Hence, that's the majority of the consumption here. You know, I'm not sure why I'm surprised by seeing these rock formations on the top of the hills. Maybe the videos that I saw about Mongolia before I got here didn't have the rocks. But those are really cool looking rocks. And they're different everywhere. That's a lot of rocks. Way off in the distance there is the Praying Monk Rock. Very aptly named Turtle Rock. Wow, it looks like somebody actually placed that headstone on there. Pretty serious hailstorm right in the middle of the summer. Pretty good size hailstones. And of course, since there's almost no farming done here, all these cows and all the sheep and everything else, it's all 100% grass-fed because they don't grow grains. This dog's kind of unusual in that it looks like a sheep, don't you think, with that fur? Yeah, there you go, dog. Rub the belly. Yeah, Mongolian dogs like to get their belly rubbed too. Yeah, I think every dog likes that. It even feels like lamb's wool. That's just bizarre. I'm going to call you sheepdog. How about that, huh? I guess he likes it. Yeah, there you go. You got a little thing there. Yeah, belly rub. That's the actual pieces of wood that they're burning in there, and it comes from this dry wood, so you get a little bit of a smoky flavor to it, a little bit of a nice kind of a, well, Texas-style barbecue smoke flavor. See, this is, we're cooking camel meat now. It is stir-fried with some garlic, some turnip, some potato, and some cabbage. Now, when I'm smelling it, I'm not getting any, I guess I was expecting some weird camel meat smell, but I'm not getting that. I'm getting just a little bit of, well, mostly garlic, actually. And apparently they put in a tiny bit of paprika in there. There goes the lid, and it's going to stew a bit. All right, camel. Camel, huh? Camel, you say? Yes, camel. So what do we got with camel? Not really, doesn't smell like beef or pork or lamb, not that it should, but camel's good. It's a little sweet, really savory. It's not that chewy. I was expecting it to be really chewy, but wow. You know, here's a sentence I thought I'd never say. That's a mighty fine camel. How about the fat? Darn good. I like camel. Can't believe it. Boiling up the horse. Now this looks like kind of along the back of the horse, I'm guessing. So that would make this kind of the back up above the ribs. And there's a big piece of horse fat. Why did we get the yellow horse fat? Because when I was in Yili in Xinjiang, I had horse sausage, and that was the finest fat I ever tasted. It was extraordinarily fragrant and flavorful and creamy and melting in your mouth, but not coating your tongue. It was just absolutely perfect. I'm hoping we can get something at least a little bit close. Okay, now that's the boiled horse, and look at the yellow fat that you got there. Oh, that thing goes on top. Wow, it's like a little cover. Huh, I wasn't expecting that at all. So it's kind of like a lid and dumpling and something all combined together. So the big dough sheet is now cooking, and it's absorbing the flavors of that stew and also some of that fat too. You'll see that some of the fat has gotten a nice sheen on the outside there. It's so nice and shiny. It's going to be going inside, and it's going to make this extremely flavorful. Okay, the horse meat is being cut up with a knife. That looks like a Swiss Army knife, in fact. Wow. Oh, yeah, it is, huh? Nice. See the official emblem there. All right, here we got the horse. Now, you'll notice that I got a big chunk of horse fat there. Look how yellow that fat is, and look how glistening that is. And when I squeeze it, look how tender it is. See how it breaks apart super easily? That's one of the beauties of horse fat, is it is melting, and oh, look at that on my finger. It's coated, and it's dripping. Okay, I stop talking, start eating. Mmm. Oh my God, horse fat is the most wonderful fat you can get in the entire world. That is ephemeral. You cannot beat horse fat. It melts. It doesn't coat your tongue. It's not oily. It's not greasy like other fat. You know, sometimes when you get lamb fat, it starts to dry a little bit on your tongue, gets kind of sticky. Not this stuff. This stuff is beautifully smooth and tender and rich and fragrant. And when you eat it, it just immediately melts in your mouth, and you get this wonderful flavor and texture that is way deeper or richer than lamb or beef or pork fat. It's so much better. The horse meat itself, it's good. Pretty chewy. You know, it's horse. What do you expect? It's all muscle. But oh, that fat, it cannot be beat. Horse meat. Wow, that's tough. But have you ever seen a horse run? Have you ever seen those muscles? You know how firm that thing is? That is freaking rock hard. Have you seen a cow run? No, because cows don't run. That's why the cow is much more tender than the horse. Oh. If you want good, strong jaw muscles, eat more horse. Preparation for making dumplings, and this is the yak that we got. Quite lean meat, but there's a lot of fat there. I was just told that one of the reasons beef and yak are more expensive than camel or horse is because there's more fat, which makes sense. They need fat to get through the winter because it's just bitter cold here in the winter. But fatty meats are more highly prized, hence more expensive. Horse, of course, being less fatty, was the cheapest of all the meats, I think. So you see that beautiful white fat here and that little bone in there? That's because this is from the sheep's tail. This is the fat that's light in flavor and it melts really easily. And that is going to go in with the horse for the dumplings. There's the horse right there. I'm sorry, yak. Yak. That's not horse, that's yak. Dumpling fillings. The red meat, the extraordinarily red meat, is the yak. There's onions, garlic, a little bit of spicy pepper in there, salt, and the white fat that you see is made from the lamb, the fatty lamb tail. This is the second kneading of the dough. It rested in between, of course, the pot on top, and this is just flour and water. There's no salt in this at all. The salt will be, all of the flavoring will be imparted from the meat and the dumplings, and the fat. Here she is portioning out the dumplings, getting a little bit of flour on there. Now this dough itself is fairly soft and a little bit sticky, and it's pretty pliable, which means it's got a relatively high water content. Nice. Pretty beautiful dumpling, huh? Look at all that sheep tail fat. You see all the liquid glistening on the right side there? Yeah, that thing is chock full of soupy goodness. And it's got yak meat. So how's the yak meat taste? Well, it's like a very beefy beef with a little bit more oomph to it. That's some mighty fine yak dumplings. You know, I know what you're thinking. With all these meat-centric videos, what do you do if you're a vegetarian or vegan and you're traveling to Mongolia, or one of your friends is, or one of your family members is, or someone with you doesn't want to eat any meat? See that right there? Yep, there you go. Vegetarian restaurant. You're set.